We're on. Good afternoon, everybody. I got caught by the bells. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are on, and I'm going to be talking about Greenland, Ukraine. I'm going to put to you that Greenland and Ukraine is about alien technology. I'm going to bring in Trump. I'm going to bring in Putin, and I'm going to bring in Nikola Tesla. Now, of course, this video is for entertainment purposes. I'm not going to share with you any of these videos or the news articles because there's lots of them out there. Lots of people are talking about the alien structures that have been found in Greenland, pyramids that have been found in Ukraine, and I'm going to link it all together. Before I get onto that, though, I just want to talk about a few things. I normally do war, conflicts, things that are happening domestically in the United Kingdom, but the reality is, the reality is all these things are happening. And I've always said this, I feel that as soon as humans can stop their bickering, stop their fighting among each other, because all wars are pointless, and I say this all the time, all wars are pointless. As soon as we can stop our childish bickering among each other, unite and start building space technology, spaceships, infrastructure in space, moon bases, colonies on Mars, floating habitats around Venus, solar panels around the sun, asteroid mining. We can really, as soon as we leave this planet, we will move into a new era, and people will stop fighting. Do you know why people will stop fighting? Because people will be rich. Everybody will be rich. But for some reason, some arcane reason, we're not doing that. We are not doing that. We are literally fighting amongst each other for finite resources on this planet when there's an infinite amount of resources. There's asteroids that fly past us with like trillions of dollars of gold. There's enough minerals, water, hydrocarbons in the cosmos to support everybody forever. But we are fighting. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me just get onto this, because it's a little bit of a break from the normal stuff I do. We are talking about Greenland, Ukraine is about alien technology, not about war. And before I get into that, I know I said this before, when you think that these fringe articles are not true, a lot of time they turn out to be true. A lot of conspiracies do turn out to be true. And I want to point to Graham Hancock's work on ancient Egypt and his ancient apocalypse theories, where he says there was a huge cataclysmic event, I think 11,500 years ago, and this goes back. This is some very compelling evidence that there was another technology before, another race, another highly technologically advanced race of people before humans. Now, if you're going down that road of highly technological race of people, you've got to understand the development paths. If you have a different development path, if you have a different evolutional path, your technology, your way of life is going to be totally different. For example, if we never invented the internal combustion engine, then we wouldn't all be fighting over oil. If there was some sort of minerals that gave people clean energy, like a monopole magnet or something, we wouldn't have wars. We would never do war, but we do because we fight over resources. So if a technologically advanced civilization did emerge before us, but their development path didn't go through burning stuff and creating the internal combustion engine, then they wouldn't have gone towards war. They would have still been competitive, but I don't think they would have done war. Anyway, I could argue both of those. Let me get onto this, guys, because we're talking about some ancient stuff. We're talking about Donald Trump, Nikola Tesla. We're going to be talking about all of this stuff. So gather round, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm going to tell you is it's some wild tale from the fringes of the internet, although you can find it there. This is a kind of deep state puzzle that connects dots from around the world, dots from all over different continents, from the frozen wastelands of Antarctica to the battlefields of Eastern Europe. And it all starts with one man, DJT, Donald Trump, number 47. and his bizarre obsession with buying Greenland back in 2019. Can you guys remember that when Donald Trump, he tried to buy Greenland in 2019? The media laughed it off as a real estate agent mogul's whim. But ask yourself, why Greenland, a massive ice-covered rock? And is it really of limited strategic value? Now, I've spoke about this quite a lot. We're gonna kind of use creative. We're going to use some creative exposure here. So let's peel back the layers. Let's see what. Let's try and unpack this then. So Greenland's ice sheet is melting faster than ever due to climate change, exposing ancient secrets that have been buried for millennia. There's videos all over the internet. Conspiracy theorists and insiders, whistleblowers are talking about massive alien structures thawing under the ice. Triangular UFOs crashed extraterrestrial craft from maybe even millions of years ago, maybe even a mothership that slammed into Earth during the last ice age. And that would come perfectly hand in hand with this, with the ancient apocalypse theory, right? Whereby 11,900 years ago, allegedly there was a cataclysm on Earth, wiping out a technologically advanced civilization. Satellite images on Google Earth show weird anomalies that could be cockpits, metallic hulls peeking through the glaciers. And who's been quietly ramping up their presence there? Yes, the United States Space Force. They've got bases in Greenland. Trump knew something. He was probably briefed on it. But here's where it gets weird, guys. Here's the kicker. And I don't know if you guys know this. Trump's uncle, John, I think his name was John Trump. He wasn't just Trump's uncle. He was also an MIT professor who worked with the FBI. And it gets deeper. It gets deeper. Because Donald Trump's uncle, the MIT professor who worked for the FBI, he was the very person tasked with seizing and reviewing Nikola Tesla's files after he mysteriously died in a hotel in 1943. So what was in the Tesla papers? First of all, I don't know. I've not seen them. We can only assume there was some sort of crazy electronic devices, death rays, free energy, anti-gravity technology, stuff that absolutely screams reverse engineered alien technology. Now, Donald Trump's Uncle Trump, I guess, the Uncle Trump, he may have handed over the safe stuff to the government. But what if, just what if, when he was reviewing that stuff, what if he just kept the interesting stuff in the Trump archives, maybe in a deep vault in Mar-a-Lago? And now it starts to ask questions why Trump's home has really been raided. Can you guys remember that, when Trump's home was really raided? What if Trump's Greenland grab was about securing that thawing alien technology before Russia or China could get their hands on it? Technology that could rewrite energy, weapons, and the whole world order. Now, let's flip eastward. Let's flip eastward now, all right? And I'll come on to the chat afterwards. Let's flip eastward to Russia and Ukraine. Putin's annexation of Crimea in 2014, then the full-blown invasion in 2022. The official story says it's about NATO, resources, empire building, but if you dig deeper, you'll see some real prizes. Those so-called pyramids that have never been officially excavated, that were allegedly discovered just outside Sevastopol back in the early 2000s by Ukrainian researcher named Vitaly Gokh. Vitaly Gokh. Some people pronounce his second name differently. Now, these are not your Egyptian knockoffs. These are underground structures, 45 meters tall, hollow chambers with mummies of unknown beings, radiating energy that fries equipment could have been built millions of years ago. Sounds crazy? Well, the scans show a network of pyramids along the Crimean coast, possibly regulating Earth's core or powering ancient alien technology. And close by, there's the Valley of Ghosts, which are eerie rock formations that look like petrified giants twisted by some cataclysmic event. Locals say that it's haunted by spirits. But what if those ghosts are actually echoes of extraterrestrial experiments? Putin grabs Crimea, stations troops near Sevastopol. Coincidence? Or is he after the pyramids and the technology that's linked to them? Maybe even linking it to stolen Tekla technology that has some sort of unlimited power for his war machine. The Ukrainian invasion escalates, drawing in NATO, distracting the world, while potentially Russian black ops teams excavate under the radar. So let's connect the threads. You've got Trump's uncle swipes Tesla's alien-inspired blueprints, potentially, of course, passes that information down the family. Trump takes on Greenland. Putin storms Crimea for pyramid power, and the global powers are racing to claim extraterrestrial relics before the fully blown thaw reveals all. So is the war just a disguise for aliens? Now, when I say this, again, this is total conspiracy, right? We are totally going down conspiracy path here. But something happened recently in Venezuela. The grabbing of Maduro, right? When Maduro was grabbed in last month, whenever it was. Oh, I can't remember when it was. I can't remember when it was. When Maduro was grabbed, right? The aerial bombardment, the stealth planes going in and doing airstrikes and taking out key facilities, that wasn't the operation. That was the cover. That was the cover story. And these big military moves, they often are cover for something deeper underground. And the Venezuela operation just shows perfectly, on like a very small scale, how these huge military operations, the moving of the US Navy moving down off the coast of Venezuela, all this huge military deployment was to capture Maduro. That was the cover to capture Maduro. Right, listen, guys, let me jump up and get some chat, because we are talking about conspiracies now. We're talking about conspiracies. Louis Ackers is saying that's why in World War II they destroyed all the old church bells, destroying healing frequencies. Well, I don't know. We still have church bells here. I don't know about that. Is that a thing? Are all church bells destroyed? I don't know. I have no idea. Literally, when I started this live stream, I was a few seconds late because I was a few seconds late because of the bells that I can hear from the church. So I don't know. Paz Pachur is saying, hi all from Finland. Paz, are you a groiper? Is Paz a groiper? I don't know if Paz is a groiper or not. Listen, groipers are welcome. Everybody's welcome here. But just keep the groiping down to a minimum if you are a groiper. The Watchman is saying Tesla knew, that's why they robbed all his research. And Louis Ackers is saying, I'm getting Transformers vibes. Yeah, so what's it? The Transformers Dark Side of the Moon, where they have to rush to the moon to get the alien tech. So going back to the Watchman's comment, the Watchman is saying Tesla knew, that's why they robbed all his research. Listen, I'm not making this up. It was Donald Trump's uncle who went in with the FBI, and they took when Nikola Tesla died in 43? Was it 43? So I think it was 43. It might not be 40. Somebody put it in the chat when Nikola Tesla died. So when he died, all his work, all the things that he'd been working on, and clearly, there had been a lot of stuff in there that had not been published, that was all reviewed by Donald Trump's uncle. And again, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm asking you guys a question. When you're looking, right? If you get to look at something and you're thinking, oh, that's interesting. That piece of technology might earn me millions. I'll keep that one for myself. I'm not saying that happened. I'm asking you guys a question. Could that have happened? So, and as a little side note, radar, the British invention, was actually Tesla couldn't get money for his couldn't get money for it. I think he wanted to do some sort of death ray or something. I don't know what it was called. But basically, the US government wouldn't fund him, so he came over to Britain, and he said, "Can you fund me to build this?" And Britain said, "No, we're not going to fund you." But what they did do is, in the meetings that they had with Tesla, the British experts, what's his name? I forget his name. The British experts, when they were talking to Tesla, after the meeting was over, they said, "Yeah, we can probably build that ourselves." So when the Brits tried to build the death ray or whatever it was, they actually invented radar. Andrew Rubin is saying JP Morgan shafted Tesla due to his investment in copper wire. He withdrew all his funding of Tesla when he discovered free energy from the atmosphere. Okay, so I'm not convinced about this free energy from the atmosphere. I'm really not. I'm not convinced about it. You can get some wireless transmission, but it can't do much more than power a radio. The Watchman, yeah, the Izraki, yeah. So I don't know if people know this, but back in the 2000 and was it 2003? Yeah. So and we're talking about Stargates now. So as the theory goes, well, there's a lot to unpack here, guys. There's a lot to unpack. We're talking about Anunnaki. We're talking about ancient Babylonia. We're talking about ancient Sumerian text, and we are going on a side mission here. However, so in I think it was 2003, on the initial invasion of, I'm going to say Ukraine, Iraq. You can find this on the internet. The museum in Baghdad was looted, but it wasn't looted in the way you would expect to be looted. The guys went in and looted whoever looted the Baghdad museum. They used explosives. They used high-end cutting equipment, and they knew exactly what they were looking for. Now, the theory is that Saddam Hussein, and I don't know if this is true, guys, it's probably not, but the theory is that Saddam Hussein had found he'd found a Stargate that could transport people instantaneously. Right, let me jump down. And Danny Walker is saying NASA was never meant to go into space. The ESA made to search the seas, but something spooked them, made them search for other planets. So NASA was never meant. So guys, listen, NASA was started by. So if you look at the origins of NASA, they were started by like real dark occultists. They were really started by real dark occultists. So I don't know if NASA. I don't know. And look, we're all talking about the moon landing. I get asked a lot, and I think it's fair to say it on here, right? Because we are talking about conspiracies, ladies and gentlemen. This video is absolutely for entertainment purposes only. So we're talking. People say, Sean, did people go to the moon? And I will always say yes. All right. Do you know what? Let me share a video with you guys. Let me try and find a video with you guys about the moon landing. There's one video I want to find, and it's when the craft was taking off, because it looks so ridiculous. It almost looks like it's on a cable. Is that it? Moon landing video. Takeoff. No. Oh, this is it. Right. Okay. I've got the. Okay. Right. Right. Okay. I'm going to share this video with you because this is hilarious. Right. So look, I'm going to. first of all, what I've always said is, when people say to me, sure, was the moon landing faked? I've always said, if the moon landing was faked, then the Americans and the Russians must have both been in on it. And if the Americans and the Russians are both in on it, that means that we don't have countries. We have a one world government, and we've always had it since the moon landing. And at the time, we was going through the Cold War. The Russians and the Americans were doing some swizzling to each other. And I've always said, because the Russians would have been able to track those rockets, and the Russians would have had the telemetry equipment basically to see if the Americans got to the moon or not, and they would have called them out if they didn't, right? And one of the things I say is I totally accept how ridiculous the moon landing looks. It does. I'm going to share with you guys a video now because this looks absolutely ridiculous. So this is, I don't know which one of the missions this was, but just watch how ridiculous this thing looks. I mean, does that look real to you?
Proceeded. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector good. X-Sot. Proceeded.
Just honestly, that to me just looks like it's on a winch. It literally, that looks, I don't know. I've not got that much experience going into space, or certainly not going onto the moon. But watch this again, guys. And does this look like it's on a winch?
3, 2, 1. Ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector good. X-Sot.
It's even wobbling like it's been pulled up by a single wire. It just looks ridiculous, right? That absolutely looks ridiculous. So, when people ask, is the moon landing fake? I always say it looked, and then you get the images of the guys bouncing, and it just looks silly. It really does look silly. Anyway. But now as you're looking at it, you're looking at these alliances between the United States and Russia, and you're thinking, well, is this real? Are the Americans and the Russians really into it? Cindy Archers is saying, in America, people are saying a directed energy weapon. That's not what Cindy Archers is saying. Oh, Cindy Archers is saying, in America, people are saying that a directed energy weapon, directed energy weapon were used when Maduro was nabbed, and it made the security bleed through their eyes and mouth. That may be the case. I don't know. So directed energy weapons are like microwaves and stuff. And look, I'm just thinking out loud. Literally, I'm thinking out loud. So if this was a directed energy weapon from one of the AC-130s or something, well, why didn't the US guys get it? They might have been wearing some sort of repellent on their I don't know. But quite easily, you could use a directed energy weapon to, make people have nosebleeds and their faces bleed. Absolutely. Directed energy, it's microwaves, right? And it vibrates molecules, and you can quite easily, you could quite easily make that attack somebody's face. The US guys, the American guys, they may have been wearing like Faraday shields on their face or something. It's, it would be quite easy to do that. Thank you, Helen. Tesla died. Yeah, it was 1943. You're back, says the Running Bear. Yeah, I'm back, and we are talking about conspiracies, guys. We are talking full-on conspiracies. Ingersoll Lockwood, Baron Trump, and the last president to time travel. Has everybody seen the Ingersoll Lockwood website? It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Let me get this up. Oh, it's changed. Okay, that's weird. Okay, I'm just gonna... Oh, hang on. So the Ingersoll Lockwood, I'll share it with you now. I just want to make sure I'm not clicking anything that I shouldn't. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's something called the Ingersoll Lockwood's the Ingersoll Lockwood website. Now I'm not gonna do too much on it, but I'll share this with you. Now it's absolutely filled with Easter eggs, right? It's literally filled with Easter eggs. So this is the website. It's absolutely filled with Easter eggs. So move your cursor on the screen, right? You've got the cursor, and then there. Can you see that? How it changes to a hand? You know, and there's all sorts of like little Easter eggs on here. I don't want to press them because I don't know what I'm going to get. But like there's like if you've got to run your cursor along things and it will change. Right, let me open this in a new tab and see what it is. Right, okay, so I will change that. Right, so I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, right? But if you just click on that F there, when you're see where it says we support and may match funds, and then if you go to the F, and if you click the F, the cursor changes, and then you get this, which is the US debt clock. You know, and the whole website is, the whole website's bonkers. It's filled with Easter eggs. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know what it means, guys. I don't know what that website means. But anyway, let me jump down. Danny Walker is saying humans did not go to the moon. They didn't have the technology to get through the Van Allen belt without harming the humans. That's why they sent animals first to test it, and they died in space. If you go like on a pole, if you go out the North Pole, I think you can get out the Van Allen belt without swizzling yourself. Andrew is saying Stanley Kubrick admitted just before his death that he had filmed those clips for the US government. It was pure propaganda. He was making A Space Odyssey 2001 at the time at Shepperton Studios. I've seen that. I don't know. I don't know if that was the case. I think to do that, you would have to have too many. There'd be too many people involved to do a full. I don't know. To do it, you would have too many. I think you'd have too many. I don't know. Christine Chambers is saying Buzz Aldrin admitted they never went to the moon. One of the things I find fascinating is Neil Armstrong talking to people after the moon landing, and one of the things he said, and he's talking to a university. I mean, Buzz Aldrin's wild, right? He's wild, and didn't he punch a reporter or something? Neil Armstrong, he said he was on a speech, and he said something like, "You guys," and he was talking to like I don't know the Caltech or something, and he was saying, "You guys need to get past the preventers of truth or something." And it was really weird. And he's hardly done any media. And you would think that like the guys that went to the moon, they'd be all over the media, right? Right, I'm just gonna there's loads of comments on the chat, guys. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this was just a quick live stream. And what I've been putting to you, ladies and gentlemen, is could the war in Ukraine and Trump's eyes on Greenland, could it be more than about money, power, control, and militaries? Could it be about alien technology? And could the war just be a cover for the retrieval of alien technology? I mean, it doesn't sound that far-fetched, right? When you think about the military, the Venezuela operation, the military airstrikes, the aerial bombardments, the naval bombardments, the Tomahawk missiles, all of that was just cover for a special forces team, right? All of that stuff was just cover for one-time special forces team to go in and nab Maduro. So we've been talking about the potential for alien structures on Greenland. We've been crashed alien craft, potential alien structures on Greenland. We've been talking about, Leanne, you're gonna have to go back and watch it. All these videos get uploaded. And was Putin's annexation of Crimea, was that really about the annexation of Crimea and global, and NATO expansion and empire building? Or was it about the pyramids that have been found in southwest Crimea? I don't know. There's lots of videos on the internet, guys. And I don't think people should just discard. I don't think people should just discard these, people that have got crazy. Look, how many conspiracy theories have come true in the last couple of years? How many have come through? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hang on. Zombie Force is saying Americans had an agreement with Greenland since World War II. It's all American anyway. It's just a matter of paperwork. I think it's... I think it's look. Geographically, Greenland is part of the is part of North America. That's the reality. Denmark don't have the military to defend it. That's also the reality. And as we move into with the potential for alien technology there as well, as we move into this new world of empires, I guess empires ruled by might. Then it only makes sense for the United States to take control of that militarily and financially. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. I have been going in a little bit of a conspiracy, a little bit of a wild conspiracy. If you've not done so and you guys are on, please like, comment, subscribe, share my stuff on your socials, because I am closing this down now. I'm closing this down now. I'll be back on later today at 8. I'll be back on at 8 o'clock on my normal time, and I will see you guys there with your. You won't need to wear your tinfoil hats.